This video will detail troubleshooting tips for probe timeout alarms with a Proteus ATG controller with regards to possible hardware issues. In most cases, these will be helpful for new installations, but can be applied for situations with existing probes. This video focuses on our MTG rigid steel level probes, as well as all Omtech wired probe applications. First, confirm that the proper cable is used for wiring an Omtech probe to a Proteus controller. The proper cable is listed in the installation manual. Ensure the correct wire colors are connected to their corresponding pin location. Confirm the strands for each connection are properly installed and cinched down tight. Inspect that loose strands are not touching the adjacent connections. Make the connection of the field wiring with the probe's yellow communication cable in a waterproof junction box inside an SK4 silicone pack. Each wire requires a separate splice. The corresponding connection is black to black, white to white or clear color, and green to the bare shield wire. Ensure none of the wires are touching any part of the grounded junction box. Additionally, inspect the connection at the probe head and the yellow communication cable. Disconnect and ensure no water or moisture is in the cavity of that connection and that the probe head is not bloated due to water or moisture. If this is the case, the probe is damaged and should be replaced. Timeout alarms are typically caused by hardware issues, the most common due to wiring, which includes field wiring, probe cable, interface boards, and junction box connections. A magnetized riser, an incorrect probe and float installation, can result in probe timeouts. Being that the probe electronics are in the top 12 inches of the probe, the magnetic field can disrupt the signal being sent to the controller. You can test for this condition by pulling the probe out of the riser until the top 12 inches are visible. If a magnetized riser is the issue, the tank should come out of alarm and provide data. Confirm the correct number of floats are installed and positioned properly on the shaft of the probe. Float installation is important. Installing a single float on a 2-float probe will result in a timeout alarm. Please note, installing 2 floats on a single float probe will not cause a timeout alarm, but will affect the product level that is displayed. It is possible the field wiring is shorted or opened. Perform continuity tests to verify the condition of the field wiring. Ground loops may also have occurred. You can check this by disconnecting the field wiring from the interface board connector. Check all 3 wires for ground by measuring continuity between each wire and the earth ground, located in the controller housing. In some cases, it is recommended to connect the probe directly to the probe input connector in the controller to eliminate the possibility of a field wiring issue. If the probe length prohibits this action, connect a separate cable between the probe and the controller. Should your system have multiple tanks, you can swap the inputs between the non-working tank and a working tank. If the problem does not follow the probe, the cause is most likely the probe interface board and not a wiring issue. If you're experiencing a timeout on all probes associated with this system, measure 28 volts DC on the XB416 board at TP1, or test point 1, and chassis ground. If voltage is good, check for pulsating DC on each probe input. Reading is taken from the black or negative pin to the white or positive pin. If there's no low fluctuating DC voltage, the XB416 is defective. If the voltage reading on TP1 is low or missing, disconnect the probe or probes. If voltage goes up, use an ohm meter to test resistance on the probe line on all tanks. A wiring short on the probe line can cause a low reading on TP1. If TP1 is still incorrect, the XB416 is defective. If none of these recommendations reveal or resolve any of the issues, then the probe itself is suspected of being faulty. This completes the process of troubleshooting probe timeout alarm issues on a Proteus ATG controller.